In my previous video, I mentioned that I studied animation in college, and one of the big things that I learned is the concept of flexibility when drawing different characters and art styles. If you want to get a job in the animation industry, you've got to be able to match a show style as closely as possible so that way characters don't look too off-model in between scenes. While most animated shows have rigged characters that don't really need to be hand-drawn every frame, it's still a great exercise in stretching your artistic abilities if you're able to draw in a style and have it be recognizable to the viewer. And luckily for me, there's a challenge that lets me do just that. I've seen a lot of people do this draw in different art styles challenge, and I decided to throw my metaphorical hat into the ring. I've compiled a list of at least 10 animated shows and drew my persona in each of them, trying to see how closely I could get to drawing in said style. My main goal is, like I said, taking my persona, adapting it into said art style, and seeing how close I can get. So without further ado, let's get started. So I wanted to start off with a reference point just so I have something to compare my other art pieces back to. And so what better way of doing that than starting with my own art style? One of the most common questions that I've seen a lot of artists get asked is, how did you come up with your art style? And I'll be real, my answer's a little boring. I basically just took all the things that I like in different art styles and combined them all into one. Big expressive eyes, flashy eyelashes for girls, cat people because I know who I am, and lineless patterns and markings for details. It's nothing too crazy or detailed because, well, I have to animate these characters and, I want to save myself the headache, but it's still recognizable as my own art style. But anyway, that's our reference point complete. Now we have something to look back on while we work on the rest. So we're starting this challenge off with a TV show that definitely has influenced my art style a lot. And most specifically, it's inspired my backgrounds. And I'm talking about Hilda. If any of you have seen any of my previous art on my social medias, you can see how Hilda has influenced my style. I just really love how they do trees and forests, man. It's just, it's so cool. Anyway, I decided to make my character a witch because I love the witches in Hilda. I wish we had more screen time of them. They were so cool. I gave her a little hat as a nod to the hat my persona typically wears, and also gave her a cat familiar for very obvious reasons. I also kept the outfit pretty simple. I know that a Hilda style doesn't have any flashy character outfits, which is totally fine by me. Just gave her a little turtleneck and cape because I would wear a cape. And with that, there's our Hilda design. I'm actually very happy with how this turned out. Please disregard the right hand. By the time I noticed that it looked really weird, the piece was already done, so we're gonna ignore that for now. So the next show on my list is The Owl House, and oh boy, did I fall in love with this show. Ever since the first trailer for this show dropped, back when I was in high school, I fell in love with this show. It is such a huge inspiration for me doing what I'm doing now. And if you've never watched it, I highly recommend. It's a good watch. Anyway, I was originally going to make my persona similar to Amity and Willow and Gus in terms of design. But as I was doing more research on the different background characters and other demon races of the Owl House, I came across some different designs that I was like, I kind of want to make it lean a little more towards demon. And so I did. I ended up deciding to make my character a Hexside student because, well, we've had a lot of time with the Hexside student outfits, and honestly, I just wanted to draw her with a hood. I thought that'd be very, very fun. I gave her a cat talisman, again, obvious reasons. And if you're curious about the different track colors that I added, there's Abomination, Bard, Beast Keeping, Potions, Illusion, and Healing. I think she'd be a very versatile girly and would definitely play some flyer derby with the other students. Anyway, that's it for the Owl House design, and I guess it's technically a Hexside Sona? And you make of it as you will. So next up on my list is Amphibia, and little fun fact, I didn't think I was gonna get so attached to this show, It was releasing back when I was in high school, and I wasn't too gravitated towards the concept at first. I casually watched the first season as it was dropping, but I don't think it was until the end of season 1 and the start of season 2 where I really got hooked into this show, especially when Marcy came along. I love Marcy so much. She is one of my favorite characters ever. And you could probably tell that when you look at the sketch for this video. I definitely inspired my amphibia design off of Marcy. I just really love her big oversized cloak and her semi-warrior, I don't know, human form. It's a good blend of both. Anyway, I had thought about doing an amphibious design, you know, making my character like a frog or a newt or a toad. But honestly, I really just wanted to draw her as a human because, I don't know, I feel like the human designs in Amphibia are pretty unique in and of itself. I ended up having to fidget with the colors a little bit on this one, especially the purple because, well, the shade of purple in my reference sheet is very vibrant and it just didn't fit well with a lot of the more muted tones that I had in this color palette. Also, I gave her 2 swords. Dual wielding! She would absolutely dual wield. I would dual wield. That is if I own swords in real life, which I do not. Kids, wield your swords safely, please. And with that, that is our amphibia design. And it's honestly probably pretty close to what I look like in real life. So when I was making my list of different shows that I wanted to include for this challenge, I knew I had to include Infinity Train. I love this show. It got taken from us way too soon. It deserves all the seasons that it needs anyway. I gotta say, this style was not too terribly difficult for me to replicate, which is ironic because I am notorious for not being good at drawing humans. It's why I draw cat people. But even despite that, I think I did pretty well with this style. It's nice just because it's pretty simple, and I did keep the design pretty simple, just a white hoodie with black leggings and gray boots, and it's not overly detailed. The only thing I think that I had to kind of finesse a little bit were the blonde hair highlights, just because there's no characters in Infinity Train that have hair highlights for me to kind of reference, so I kind of just took it and imagined what I think that would look like. But other than that, I mean, design choice wise, I didn't make the character a denizen or an apex kid just because I don't think my persona or me would really fit in either of those crowds. They'd just be a plain passenger, just using the Infinity Train as a checkpoint to get through their goals in life. Or, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, that's it. That's this design done. I'm really curious what you guys think my character's number would be. I don't know. Thoughts, anyone? So speaking of shows that got canceled way too soon, we're shifting over to Mau Mau Heroes of Pure Heart. This is a show I feel like has fallen off the radar, which is a crime. It's a great show. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. I know it's not really accessible lately, but trust me, it's a good one. I made my character a cat, again, obvious reasons, but I had a little bit of trouble with the body. Just, I don't typically draw animal anatomy in this way, so I kind of had to finesse it a little bit and hope for the best. And I guess as a result of that, the pose ended up becoming a little bit simple, but I think looks fine. So originally in the sketch, I was just gonna have a crown at the top of my character's head, but while I was doing reference work for this show, I forgot that this character exists. Look at this little goober. I love my little baby honey. She's my sweetie. I love her little hat. Anyway, so I added a witch hat. I have no regrets. This was great. But one of the fun things about this particular style is that Mau Mau has lined markings. You can see it with Badger Clops and Adorabat and some of the other Pure Heart citizens. So it definitely made coloring my markings of my character a whole lot easier because I didn't really have to do a whole lot of like guessing and finesse work or anything. But anyway, that's this one wrapped up. She'd probably be a little vagabond causing trouble. She definitely looks the part at least, but what do you guys think? I have to do Steven Universe. I know myself, I have to do it. And so I did. Fun fact, while I was working on this particular art piece, I considered doing a pearl design, but honestly, I've drawn pearls before in the past, and I'll be real, I just like Lapis a lot. I think she's really cool, and I wanted to make a Lapis Sona. I'm self-indulgent. You're not gonna stop me. I decided to give her a little bit more of a fighter look, as, no offense to the show, the long flowy skirts is just not my thing. I am a leggings girly, and you know what? I will translate that into my art any day, every day. Adding a lot of this, as well as like the gloves and the cropped top, it definitely gave her a bit more of a combative look, especially with the addition of the little water bubble in her hand. It's almost like she's charging up her abilities or land a blow on you. I decided to give her a little bit more of a fighter look to her just because, I'll be quite honest, I'm not a big fan of the flowy skirts that are used in the show style, and look, I'm a leggings girly any day, every day. I will always translate that to my work. You cannot stop me. You can kind of see it in the art, but I also added some small little golden freckles. I just think that's really cool, and I wish it was captured better in the video. That's probably a hindsight on my end. Maybe I'll fix it later. I really liked doing the water wings as well. I've never really drawn water wings like this before, but I am super happy with how they turned out. I think they look awesome. And yeah, that's the Steven Universe design. What do you guys think? Do you think she'd be a crystal gem, or would she valiantly defend the diamonds? I think I wanted to incorporate another simple art style into this challenge, and while I was coming up with ideas, I kept remembering Big City Greens, and even though it's not a show that directly has an influence in my art style, I still really like the character designs and just the way the show looks, so I'm going to include it in this challenge anyway. So this was another instance of characters having stick limbs, which I don't really mind, honestly, but it is something that I had to get used to since I typically draw arms with a little bit more definition than just two parallel lines that connect to a hand. But man, the thing that I had the most trouble drawing were the feet. I swear I redrew the shoes like 3 times, and I think that's just because with Big City Greens, the way that feet are designed, they're just ovals at the bottom with different levels of definition depending on if a character has shoes or not. So that was definitely something I had to get used to. But in the end, I really loved how this turned out. I kept the outfit pretty simple, just a shirt, pants, and just a little bag because, you know, I wanted to add a little extra characterization in there. But I think this turned out pretty well, and I feel like more people should talk about this show. It's a pretty good one if you like comedy, slice of life sort of shows. It feels a little fitting that at the time I'm recording this audio, this show is leaving Netflix, which is a damn shame. I wish it was not leaving Netflix, but oh well, I guess. I will do my due diligence and I will draw in this show style because it has had an influence over me and I love this show. I'm talking about She-Ra, the 2018 reboot version. While I was designing this character, I ended up changing the hairstyle a little bit during the line art phase, and I'll be quite honest, I'm still not 100% satisfied with the hair design, but I think this is as close as I'm gonna get based on what I've seen of different hairstyles in the show. I didn't want to give her a super dressy or like princessy outfit, just because honestly, I don't think I could pull that off, and it just doesn't fit the character in my opinion. I wanted to give him a little bit more of a fighter look because, well, that's how I imagine myself sometimes. I'm a fighter. So I did some light armor boots, leggings, a little tank top, and of course, I gave her a sword. I know myself, I would be a sword wielder. And the decision to make her a cat human person like Katra, I knew I was gonna do this anyway, but I don't know why, part of me thinks she looks like a Cachadora fan child. I promise she's not. It's just how I interpreted my persona, I promise. But anyway, that's the She-Ra art style, and man, I gotta say, I'm not used to doing, like, small little details like this. For example, like, the little face, it's not blush, it's just like a face marking, but you know what? I'm still happy with how this turned out. So obviously, because I draw cat people, I had to do Lackadaisy. And again, another little fun fact, I was first exposed to Lackadaisy through watching rough animation clips for the pilot back in my early years of college. And man, I gotta say, seeing those rough animation clips now in the context of like the fully finished pilot was such an experience for me, and it just, man, it's just so cool. But anyway, getting back to the design aspect, this was the first and only time in this challenge where I drew my character with a short hairstyle, which was definitely a change. I am not used to seeing my character with short hair, but you know what? We'll work with it. I was originally going to give my character a dancing pose, but when I was looking up references, I couldn't really find one that stuck out to me, so I just kind of made her a little excited, a little giddy. I really love the flapper dress style in Lackadaisy. I don't know what it is exactly, it just looks super fun. And of course, I wanted to add a little headband just to balance out the way that the head looks. Something that I found really interesting while I was working on this piece is that the markings have line art. It's just not as dark as the line art for most of the character. So that was definitely something that I had to adjust myself to, since again, I'm typically used to drawing markings without line art. But other than that, I mean, I think out of all the art styles, this one is definitely the closest to my own style, and I think you can see how Lackadaisy has really influenced how I personally draw cat people. And last but certainly not least, I knew I wanted to incorporate at least one anime style in here, so here we have it, it's Dungeon Meshi. So I typically don't watch anime, it's not necessarily my favorite genre of animation, but I do have a few exceptions, and Dungeon Meshi is one of them. I didn't start watching this show until some of my college friends were really pushing me to watch it, because they were like, oh, Ace, you like food, you like watching cartoons, you'll really love this show. And I gotta say, those friends, they read me right. I love this show. I watched it so much in college, and I'm really excited for season 2. So originally I was going to draw my OC as a beast man, kind of like Izutsumi. So originally I was going to design my OC as a beast man like Izutsumi, but I initially started drawing my character as an elf, and by the time I remembered that I was going to draw my character like Izutsumi, I really liked how the elf ears looked on the design, and you can see it in the sketch. I even tried to add the cat ears like Izutsumi, and they just didn't fit in my opinion, so I decided to keep my character as an elf. I struggled a lot with the feet in particular, because I don't know what it is about the Dungeon Meshi style, but they were just so hard to replicate. I even had a reference picture pulled up and I was copying from that, and it still doesn't look right in my opinion, but you know what? We move on. Something else I kind of struggled with was the line art. Studio Trigger animation is pretty notorious for its thin line art, so that was definitely something that I had to kind of adjust myself to, and I don't think I quite nailed it, but honestly, despite that, I still think it looks pretty good. But yeah, we have a cute little elf now. And I'll be honest, it's not my best work out of this whole grouping, but I mean, for someone who's never drawn anime before, I gotta say, this wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. And that's the lot of them. Honestly, I'm really satisfied with how this challenge turned out. It taught me a lot in regards to mimicking art styles and some of the tips and tricks that I should be taking into future consideration if I ever do something like this again. For example, instead of trying to find poses from the show itself to redraw, I should have been finding poses online to draw and translating aspects of the show's style to fit said pose. Once I kind of figured that out, it really helped me make the poses more dynamic and allowed me to be focusing more on the show style itself rather than hyperfixating on finding the right pose to reference. But anyway, this challenge, in my opinion, was definitely a success and really helped me be more confident in drawing the things that I might not have been as comfortable in drawing before. If you're breaking out into the art world and are on the fence about doing something like this, I highly recommend it. It is a great practice for any young artist, especially an artist that wants to become an animator someday. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me for this video, as it is starting to get a little bit on the long side. I'll definitely be sure to post all the art that I made for this video on my social medias, so be sure to follow me. My links are in the description. But until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!